Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast. Matt Cassel and Phil Perry will be alongside. But I wanted to give you this little essay to start out with. We all understood that the 2022 season was going to be a rocky one for Mac Jones. Back in August, we did these season preview, fill in the blank exercises. And when we asked the question, Mac Jones at the end of the season will be ... I said more resilient. We've gone over the reasons why it was going to be rocky, and we've done it repeatedly. Coaching staff changes, offensive line upheaval. Suffice to say, it's been even harder than we expected because when you add in the interceptions and the injuries and the fans out there pleading for his backup and Bill Belichick giving him to them, well, that's a lot of adversity. So far, Jones has alternately shown frustration and resolve. He's lauded coaching brilliance, and he's openly offered that he doesn't understand the purpose behind some plays. He's walked that fine line between being the guy who's frustrated and a fiery competitor that everyone loves and being a sourpuss mope. And it is a balancing act. So he has had it tough. But for someone like me who's given blanket absolution to Mac Jones because of the adversity, it's getting harder and harder to explain away his shortcomings. I guess I keep acting like he's some kind of victim of circumstance, which doesn't give him any agency at all. So I asked Bill Belichick on Wednesday, why has a guy like Mac Jones, who Bill said improved so much in the offseason, performed so much worse? Here's Bill's answer, and it's brought to you by Shaw's, perfecting the art of fresh.
Well, I mean, look, he hasn't played in the last 3 weeks, so, yeah. So what are we talking about evaluating?
Well, he threw a pick on the third drive, which really didn't look like something that was characteristic of him.
Well, again, start evaluating guys on one play. So we'll just get ready for the Jets. All right. I'm not going to recap the season. We're just getting ready for the Jets.
I'm not recapping the season.
Neither am I. Neither am I. We're getting ready for the Jets. Plenty to get ready for there.
It's a fair question.
Great. It's a fair answer. I'm getting ready for the Jets.
At least it's clear now that Jones is going to start Sunday, and provided he stays healthy, hopefully he gets the rest of the year too. Because the Patriots need to find out if they have a guy or the guy. It's Bill Belichick who hammered into all of us that every player has to establish his level every year. Jones's level hasn't been good enough so far to warrant the Patriots pledging long-term loyalty. So this is a pivotal 2-month stretch beginning against the Jets. Monday was bad for Mac Jones. It was bad for the relationship. He looked scapegoated, and he had a stadium turn against him. Honestly, thank God they are on the road this week. But we always talked about Mac's high floor. And right now he finds himself on it, on his back. Bill Belichick going to help him up? Or is he waiting to see if Mac Jones can get up on his own and dust himself off? How resilient is Mac Jones? And with that, let's bring in the boys.
Here come the fellas. Let's get right into it. Matthew, you wrote about it for our website this week, about the pivotal stretch that Mac Jones is now confronting. Why do you feel it is so important, and what does he need to prove?
Well, one, he's got to reestablish himself as the leader and the quarterback of this team. Obviously, he struggled early on this season. He came back from injury last week. It didn't go well. He's pulled out of the game, and I think that there's a lot of question marks, and there's a reason why Bailey Zappi was in that game last week. Obviously, I don't think it was health-related. I think it was performance-related, and so for him, it's about now reestablishing his role on this team as a starting quarterback, and the only way to do that is to go out and play well. So his back's up against the wall, and he's a guy that has dealt with adversity throughout his career. We heard him post-game talk about his time at Alabama, his time in high school, all those things that he's had to deal with throughout his career. And now we're going to see it. You know, he's got to rise to the challenge, and he's got to go out and prove to not just himself, but also this team that he's the guy that's going to lead the ship. And so the only way that you do that is go out and perform well, take care of the football, and do the things that he hasn't really done well throughout the course of this year.
Matt, you mentioned the performance, and it absolutely looks like that, and we all in the moment felt that way. But there's tiny little breadcrumbs that Bill Belichick has dropped and Mac Jones dropped that make me think that Mac convinced Bill to put him out there for a cameo, and then the plan was we're going to get Bailey Zappi in there, which does run counter to everything we understand about what Bill does generally. But between Mac saying thanks for the chance, Bill, after the game, and that it was articulated what was going to happen, and Bill then defending Mac by saying, look, he was rusty, I really think that Bill felt, I don't want him out there. He's not ready to go. And then when he sucked, it's like, well, I'm not surprised. He hasn't played for 3 weeks. Phil, are you with me on that? I'm not trying to poke holes in Matt's notion of the performance-based pull, but it felt like there were a lot of different dynamics at play.
To me, it's just too coincidental for him to be removed after an interception.
Right.
And I also look at, not only what we see on the field, I do look at the injury report. And I know people believe, and maybe rightfully so, that thing gets toyed with across the league, right? But when I look at the injury report, when I look at what happened on the field, I think now when it comes to this situation, I put more stock in those things than I do with what's being said at the podium, because we know certainly we get toyed with at the podium all the time. And Tom, I just look again at the injury report. For Mac Jones to be completely removed from the injury report 36 hours essentially after he played in a game on Monday night where he was removed for what Bill Belichick told us were health reasons, or at least that was part of the equation as to why he was removed. It's hard for me to square. So 36 hours later, he's fully healthy and he doesn't even have to be listed at all, not even as a full participant with an injury. He's just off the injury report entirely after playing in a game for the first time in 3 weeks. That to me tells me Bill Belichick wanted to see Bailey Zappi, and he told them what he told them before the game, and the plan was to play both, but it might not have been entirely, well, Mac, you've been hurt and you're rusty. I think Bill Belichick wanted to know what he had in Bailey Zappi. He wanted to give him an opportunity to continue to play. And I think Mac Jones might be the starter now moving forward because Bailey Zappi didn't play all that well when he was given all the snaps that he was given.
And I still have an impossible time swallowing that notion that, and I'm not saying it's on me, not on you guys, but it's just so mind-bending for me to think that Mac Jones can be celebrated, lauded, praised by Bill Belichick for all the dramatic improvements he made, to watch him beat out Cam Newton last year. And then 2 months later, with a completely reconfigured coaching staff, Matt kind of sucking, but not completely sucking. And Bill's like, maybe I should go with this kid. It's nuts, Matt.
It's nuts, and that's the nature of the beast. I've said it before, and it's a difficult position to be in, but this is a performance-based league, and if you're not getting it done, then they're always going to look and see if they've got better options. And I've been through it myself where the team's struggling, you're struggling, and they're saying, hey, look, we're going to give this other guy an opportunity. And it doesn't matter what you did last year. It doesn't matter how you performed even 3-4 weeks ago in the start of the season. It's if you can consistently go out there and play well. And right now, Mac Jones hasn't played well, and part of it could be the injury. But also going back a little bit to this conversation that we just had, if Mac Jones goes out there and he takes them on 2 touchdown drives to start the game, and then even at that point, are you telling me that the game plan for this team and the best thing for this offense and also where they're at would have been to pull Mac Jones out just because you said that? That's where I have trouble with the theory of, hey, no matter what, we're just going to play him. It's not performance-based, because I have to believe you start a guy that you think is healthy enough or mobile enough to play on that ankle. He goes out, he proved that he has mobility, he can run around. You saw it in the first few series. And if he was to go out and put together some drives and they're going to score, to change that momentum, all of a sudden that rhythm that they have built up in the beginning of a game, and say, just because we said that we're going to put both of these guys in, I just think that's a scapegoat for the whole entire situation.
It's wild too, because you also think, okay, what if Chicago hadn't scored? What if the score wasn't 10-0?
Right.
And it was 0-0 still? Would they have said, I mean, he really hasn't done any damage to us yet. Let's put him back out there for another one. Or did Bill say, look, I'm not going to lose this game, and there's a chance here that if I put him back out there, he's going to keep playing worse, which is a scary place to be in if your head coach is afraid of you.
It's a terrible place to be in. I mean, and that goes back to one, like the confidence that you're and accountability you have to have on a weekly basis, and the coaching staff and everybody has to have buy-in and belief. And at the end of the day right now, I think that confidence has been shaken a little bit, and the belief in Mac Jones being the guy just based on the performance hasn't been there. And that's why they turned to Bailey Zappi and said, look, this guy's been playing well. He's been effective. He's been efficient. And I know all the discussion about the opponent, this, that, and the other, but at the end of the day, they wanted to see if Bailey Zappi gave him a spark. And when he first went into that game and they go on 2 touchdown drives, I was like, Mac Jones might not get his job back. And then you go into the second half, and unfortunately, for Bailey Zappi, he didn't seize that opportunity, wasn't able to get anything going. He had some poor throws, 2 interceptions at the end of the game. So again, that leaves them once again with this big cloud of speculation of, is Mac Jones the guy? And maybe we do go back to him and make sure that he's going to get another opportunity to prove that he's the guy like we thought he was last year.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that an unbelievably quick trigger, though, Tom, to your point? I mean, he is essentially 3 games into playing in a new offense with a new coaching staff and a new philosophy and trying to figure things out. And now, because Bailey Zappi had 2 pretty good games against the Lions and the Browns, and I think you can even not poke holes in, but how hard is it to play that position when your offense is, rushing for 200 yards in the Lions game, or you're scoring on defense and you're getting to play with the lead and you get these play action plays where guys are running free down the middle of the field. For them to be willing to maybe make that move, as Matt says, if he can keep this going, he's just led them to 2 touchdown drives. If Bailey Zappi keeps this going, maybe Mac Jones never gets his job back. That is just an unbelievably quick trigger to me. And it makes me wonder now moving forward, maybe not against the Jets, maybe not against the Colts, but when does a move potentially get made again, right, if they don't like what they see from Mac Jones?
Precedent has been set, Bill. Even if it was just a, hey, we pre-planned this and it was time to get him out. We all knew it was going to happen. He was rusty. Precedent has been set that at some point during a game, Mac can get pulled. All of it really goes back. It's funny because all of it breathes so much validity into the quotes from Mike Lombardi that we had featured recently. And let's just jump back and listen to those one more time, John Henry. This is after, I believe, the Baltimore game. Here's Mike Lombardi talking about the arc of Mac's second season.
As much as I liked Mac Jones, I thought Mac Jones would protect the ball and play smarter than he's played. He was in danger of either changing what he did or he's going to lose his job. He's not going to play in the NFL. You're not going to play in the NFL. You keep turning the ball over like he was.
So, fellas, there's a push-pull here. And, Phil, you've talked about this, so I want to go to you first. There's a push-pull here between swaggery Mac, who wants to be an upper echelon quarterback and in the cool kids club, who now has been neutered to the point where he's just barely hanging on. And he isn't trying to get up to Patrick Mahomes. He's just trying to outperform Bailey Zappi.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's about him wanting to be a part of the cool kids club. I just think he knows what good offense is and what the best offenses in the league look like, right? And he got criticized last year for not throwing it down the field enough. And
yeah, he wants to be a dynamic quarterback. I should say that. You've made that point. You've said a good offense looks that way. He knows that good offenses throw it down the field, whether it's Mahomes or Brady or Matt Stafford. And so when I say cool kids club, he wants to be accepted as an upper echelon quarterback.
Which you have to be if you want to win in this league, right? If you want to win in the NFL in 2022, you need to have a great offense led by a great quarterback. And so Mac Jones, I think, hopes someday he will be thought of as a great quarterback. And what do great quarterbacks do? Well, they don't play the game the way Tom Brady played it necessarily in 2001 or the way that Alex Smith played it in 2016, whenever they started shifting and moving towards that Patrick Mahomes era and a different style of offense. That's just the reason why teams want to move on from guys like Alex Smith or Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco is because that's not enough in 2022. Mac Jones understands that. To his credit, you can't just be the guy that takes care of the football and makes the check down. You have to do more than that. So he's trying to find his footing when it comes to that, and they're trying to help him along. I think they're calling a lot of plays, Matt, where they're looking for him to push the ball down the field because they know what they need to succeed, especially in this division against Josh Allen.
But they want him to do that. They want him to push it down the field and be that guy. But now they're hanging him with the evidence that he submitted because he threw picks during it, Matt.
Right, but not all those picks were related to down the field throws, and that's the one thing that I keep pushing back on. And I think Phil brings up a good point. They're in a division right now with the Buffalo Bills. It's going to be a scoring fest. No matter what you think about, you got to put up points. You've got to be explosive. You can't dink and dunk down the field and matriculate the ball down the field and think that you're going to go up against a Buffalo Bills defense or a Miami defense, or even this week against the Jets, where the Jets are maybe the outlier because their offense is so poor in terms of just their ability to score points. They're going to base it on the run game. But at the end of the day, at some point, you look at the upper echelon of the AFC, whether it's the Chiefs, whether it's the Bills, you're going to have to score. And you're going to have to score at will, and you're going to have to do it through explosive plays. And that's just what you have to do is every time you go back and evaluate yourself in the offseason as an offense, where can we get better? And it was explosive plays. And I also don't think that we're probably still having this conversation if Mac Jones doesn't get hurt at the end of the Baltimore game. Because of the way that he played throughout the first half of that game into the third quarter, the resiliency he showed, 2 of those picks, I don't even put on. One was a desperation throw at the end of the game. The other one was Devontae Parker not getting the signal and just completely gave up on the route, and it looked a lot worse than it was. But if Mac Jones doesn't get hurt at that end of the game with the ankle, he's going to go in and have success against the Detroit Lions. He's going to go in and have success against the Browns. But it's the way in which Bailey Zappi went in and played in that circumstance, and also because of the way that the team was formulated and not playing well in the beginning of the year. That's why we're having this discussion right now. We might not even be having this conversation if Bailey Zappi never stepped on the field.
So then that leads us back to the conversation. We're going to hit this and then go to the break. So much scrutiny on the Patriots play calling, from Dan Orlovsky and Chris Sims to Greg Bedard vocally saying that the Patriots are running a different offense, to Phil more diplomatically pointing out the differences, and Matt as well. Should the Patriots pivot to the more simplified, easy to use, less risk offense that was employed during Bailey Zappi's period, embrace some more of that, or keep with the full speed ahead, pedal to the metal? Because I think you have a quarterback who's sitting behind the wheel and wondering, okay, how fast am I supposed to go here?
To me, they have to find a balance, because I think the reason why they're having Mac Jones maybe operate more out of shotgun, for instance, or throwing the ball down the field a little bit more, or just utilizing some passing concepts that require the receivers to run deeper routes. All of that is with the right idea in mind. It's everything we just talked about being more explosive, because you have to be in today's NFL. But you also have so much success, Matt, it looks like, when you're running the ball like a power run team. You have these behemoths on your offensive line, and Trent Brown and Michael Wenu and now Marcus Cannon. It's probably one of the biggest offensive lines, if not the biggest, in the NFL. And so you can run over teams that way, which helps set up your play action. There's no reason you shouldn't be able to do both and really lean on some of those, again, shotgun, drop back, in the pocket, down the field, passing plays when you need to, when you're behind, when you're trying to make a comeback the way Bailey Zappi was the other night. Then the play action stuff goes out the window. But there's no reason you shouldn't be able to do both, especially in neutral game script sorts of situations.
Right. There's got to be balance in everything that you do. And I think when this run game gets going, this is when this offense is most effective. The other night, though, against the Chicago Bears, they weren't effective in the run game. They weren't picking up great yardage on first and second down. So, all those things that you talk about go hand in hand. You can't be ineffective in the run game and get caught in third and long situations and think that you can still be balanced in terms of run pass options on third and long. And then also, if you go all of a sudden, the penalties that took place, Trent Brown had a few penalties in this game that set them back in 2nd and 20. Now you got to go 20 yards to get a first down. It goes hand in hand. And this offensive unit, the margin for error is really small. And if you don't get the run game going, then all these things that we're talking about doesn't really have any impact on the game, because you're in a different type of situation, running a different offense and plays that otherwise you wouldn't. But when you go and you formulate a game plan every single week, you've got your quick game, is what we call it, quick game. You've got your intermediate passes, you've got your shots, and usually you have 5-6 different shots that you'll see in a game. And that is excluding when you have just a general go route called in a concept where you can take the shot, you like the one-on-one opportunity down the field, but it's not like you go into a game with 30 shots and you say, hey, we're going to not throw any short or quick game and stuff. It's that balancing act that you have to have in supplementing the run game in behind it.
And we take a look at that Baltimore game a little bit too. Mac declared it to be a shot game. He took a ton of them. 10 throws to Devontae Parker, 5 completed, 156 yards. So I don't know if they're tired of him hitting driver so often or that's the design and that's what they're asking for. But it'll be fascinating to watch how much similarity there is to post-ankle injury Mac in the way he plays and in the game that Matt Patricia calls to post-ankle injury Mac, which we will begin seeing on Sunday.
Coming up after the break, we'll get into this Jets-Patriots matchup and just where the Patriots have the edge against a team that is 2 games ahead of it. All right, welcome back in, everybody. We had Devin McCourty at the podium on Wednesday, and this quote was too good to not share. Also, we'll bring you one that's a little more pertinent. But first, here's Devin talking about whether or not he has to buck his teammates up when they're feeling down.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you help a guy out, personal issues going on. We got guys with newborn babies, like, hey, you're a little tired today, but I don't think, like, the world is, like, crashing down on anybody where we're, like, running this huge daycare of, like, buddy took my favorite toy and now I'm mad. Like, can you get me a new toy? Like, I don't know, I'm a twin, so I'm used to sharing. So, a lot of times we had 2 toys, but I don't know if someone else needs to borrow a toy. Like, I'm all for going to Target and buying another toy, though.
And now here's Devin talking about the Monday performance by the Patriots defense and what their reaction is when they watch film of it.
Well, I'll say this. I don't believe in, like, watching something and saying, like, that's not us. Like, why can't that be you again? Like, there's nothing in life or in football that, like, you watch and you'll be like, oh, I'll never do that again. Like, why wouldn't you? Like, no matter what, to me, you have to watch and take responsibility and fix it.
Here come the boys back in to discuss the Jets, Zach Wilson, and the direction of Mac.
All right, boys. Defense has to do a little bit of introspection, and the Jets have won 4 straight. Steelers, Dolphins, Packers, Broncos. Defensively, they've been a pain in the ass. They haven't allowed more than 20 throughout the month of October. How good is this team, Phil Perry?
Tom, this Jets defense is very legit. Quinnen Williams has become the player that they expected him to be when they drafted him near the top of the draft a few years ago. Sauce Gardner is already one of the best young corners in football. They're holding teams to less than 4 yards per carry in the run game, less than 7 yards per attempt in the pass game, and they're only allowing 19.6 points per game thus far this season. So on that side of the football, Robert Saleh really has things going.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the other side where they still struggle, and they've been winning games, but they're not doing it with their offense.
And Matt, that makes me wonder about young Zach Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
He split time with Joe Flacco this year, and really just by the numbers, Flacco's outperformed young Zach. Less than 60% of his passes complete so far. Zach Wilson in 101 attempts. He's got a touchdown and 2 picks. He's loose. He's real loose with the football. I have a feeling that the Patriots might be trying to confound him.
They're definitely going to try to put the game in his hands, and that's the recipe for success because he's a guy that still is a wild card. And obviously, I don't think that the New York Jets trust him very much. They went out and spent a lot of capital on that wide receiver position that they're not really utilizing. The blow that they had this last week with the ACL injury to Breece Hall was huge. He was averaging over 6 yards a run, and he was this entire offense. He was doing it in the run game. He also was doing it in the pass game. So now they look to Michael Carter, and obviously they went out this week and they brought in, who did they bring in? James Robinson from Jackson. Yeah, James Robinson from Jacksonville. So we'll see if he is able to get up to speed and get caught up. But they're going to rely on the run. The other big hit that they took was Elijah Vera Tucker, their tackle, the versatile guy that's been playing all over that offensive line. He went out as well. So it'll be interesting because obviously they don't trust him that much. You look at, like you said, he's got just over 101 attempts when 4 starts, where Joe Flacco in 3 starts at 155 attempts. So they're going to have to rely on the run game. The big thing for the Patriots is shut down that run game, get them into passing situations and force him into mistakes, because that's something that he is prone to do, and they've been able to hide him really well throughout these first 3 games that he's been back.
Patriots run defense allowed 250 the other day, but again, it was with a mobile quarterback, not even a mobile quarterback, an electrifying runner is what Justin Fields can be. Same thing with Lamar Jackson, even though it's a better thrower that the Patriots faced in that game. But is it a matchup thing? Or is the Patriots defense a little bit flawed? I believe it's a matchup thing. That's the kind of quarterback they're having difficulty with. And as Devin McCourty was referring to at the top of this portion of the program, they have to address it and get it right. It's not that they're incapable of dealing with those kinds of quarterbacks, but the bottom line is they're not going to see that this week. So I'm guessing the defense is going to be a hell of a lot more like the one we saw during the Packers, Lions, Browns run.
I would agree with you there, Tom. Zach Wilson is a good athlete, and he can make the first pass rusher that gets into his airspace miss at times. But then I think once you get him into some of those scramble drill situations, even though he's as great an athlete as he is, and even though his arm is as loose as it is, and he can make quote unquote every throw on the field, I think that's where things really speed up for him. And you might start to see even more mistakes. He hasn't gotten a grip on his skill set really to this point in his career where he can sort of settle down in those moments and make the right play. It feels like, those bad plays just get exacerbated and he turns them into worse plays at times because he's trying to do a little too much, but he knows he has the physical ability to pull off something special. So every once in a while you'll see a flash, but they'll force him into a bunch of mistakes this weekend, I believe.
Interesting to see the line on this game. Patriots continue to go up as the favorite on the road, despite having a 3-4 record, and the Jets are 5-2. Why is that the case?
It's really interesting because I don't know, but those guys know something behind the scenes because every time I do any type of betting, I always lose because they're always in a half a point of something going on. But it's the thing for the Patriots is they're a solid football team. That where they've struggled against the run is, like you said, the mobile quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson. You had Justin Fields last week, but you look at the top 3 rushing offenses in the league. You're talking about guys down in Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Eagles with Jalen Hurts, the Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. You're talking about the Chicago Bears. What do all those have in common? The mobile quarterback. And we know that the mobile quarterback has given the New England Patriots fits, and they haven't had an answer for containing guys like that. But this is a much different offensive structure, and I think that they believe that the Patriots can hold this offense in check. And also the Patriots are going to need to do just enough offensively to go out against a good defensive unit with the New York Jets to go out and win this game.
All right, let's close this. This game's all about Mac Jones. That's why people are going to be tuning in, and that's what they're going to be focused on. So give me a 1-sentence description predicting, Phil, what Mac Jones' day will look like against the New York Jets.
Up and down. I think their defense is that good, and I'm not sure, Matt, he's going to have his center. David Andrews leaves that game. He's dealing with a concussion. We'll see how things go for him at the end of this week. But that's a huge blow, especially when the Jets have as much talent up front as they do.
It is. And you look at this Jets defense and you say, look, this is going to be a challenge. And I think this week is going to be a challenge, and you're going to have to take the good with the bad. Hopefully for his sake, he can take care of the football and play a clean football game, be effective, be efficient when the passes are open. But this is a good secondary, one of the best. They've got 8 interceptions on the year. He's got to protect the football. And that's the biggest issue in this game is hopefully early on, he gets into a rhythm, but he takes care of the football throughout the entire game. And that will actually give them an opportunity in the fourth quarter.
Very, very, very sneaky, tough spot for Mac Jones to return in. Again, I'll say it. It's a good thing they're on the road and not at home, because if he was going against the Jets at home and he had some difficulty, it would be another factor to have to listen to. But after what happened Monday, if he does struggle and he feels any conflict at all in the play calling or the support he's getting or second guessing, it will be interesting to watch his sideline demeanor, Phil. And I want to rely on you to see if Mac gets hangdog or if he's swaggerific as he used to be and fancied himself to be, Phil.
I'll be up there in the press box with the specs. Don't worry.
All right. And we will see you guys on pregame live and postgame live to break it all down. Have a good weekend.